What's up, y'all? Today I got another banger masterpiece here. I got Lock and Key, written by Joe Hill, drawn by Gabriel Rodriguez, lettered by J Photos, colored by J Photos. I don't know which one it is. Now listen. I know the last time I made one of these, I came on with tongues, and I was talking about this is the greatest comic book I've ever read in my fucking life. There's more comics in that page of comics than any other comic. And I feel like y'all are gonna hear me wax poetic on this book and be like, this motherfucker, man, he just be feeling this way. You know what I mean? He's just dramatic. But I really do feel like perhaps this and Tongues are like the truly greatest comic books I've ever read in my life. Now, that being said, this one is complete. Tongues are not complete. This one is the whole story, Lock and Key. You've probably heard of it. I don't think this is like, some hidden gem indie hit here. I'm not trying to say it like that. I just hadn't read it. This was a blind spot for me. To be honest, I don't do a lot of horror, so, having it being sold as the one written by Stephen King's son didn't matter to me because I ain't trying to get scared. And to be honest, the shit did scare me multiple times. I could not read this book at night. This shit was scary, but in like scary things happen, but it's more like I feel like it leans more towards thriller than it does horror. But I also think that the beauty of comic books is that it makes these horror genres a little more approachable sometimes for a guy like me because there's no jump scares. Anything that's scary has to like really stick with you, which this did. But for some reason, that's better for me than just like a jump scare. I don't know. Anyways, the first thing I want to start with this book on about why it's like so good is the art. Gabriel Rodriguez. I don't know if he's done any other comic books in his life, but if he has, I hope there's more than this. This is all I've ever heard of. This feels very like of its time. Like it's definitely digitally colored, but not in a bad way. This feels like the first generation of digital coloring that I like really fuck with. A lot of the early digital coloring stuff. I don't know if this is early. I'm just saying shit. I'm not a historian, dog. But like you read a lot of superhero comics from however long ago, and you'd be looking at this digital color, and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, this shit is just like shiny and like kind of like I don't know, like overly smooth, and these fucking Photoshop gradients are everywhere. This one is not like that. I think this is a gorgeously drawn book. His paneling is very creative, but like this stuff that he does feels so like unique to him, even though I'm sure other people have done it, but like something about the technique and where he in the ways he utilizes it feels so unique to him and this book. This story is about a family who their dad gets killed in a home invasion. This is like not a spoiler. That was what you just saw was in the like, first page. And because of that, they move to an old family house. Their last name is Locke. And it's Lock and Key. So they move to this old, very haunted looking, like gothic mansion after their dad is killed, and they kind of like try to start a new life. But the house has a magic in it that shows up through different magical keys that are found throughout the property. Okay, that's like the gist of it. Obviously, it's a lot more than that. It gets way more interesting. But if you're in on that like pitch, then you'll love this book. It very much feels related to like a lot. This feels like a genre of book of kids moving to a new town and having to do with magical things in their new house, And it is that, but this shit goes hard in the motherfucking paint, bro. There is like blood and guts, and it doesn't hide anything, and that's kind of like the beauty of it is that every corner of the magic in this house is explored. Every part of it where you've ever like read a story, like especially in the days of like the I Am Number 4, me and my boys call it the magical boy era of these books. It like takes that and explores all the questions that you would have. It goes on for a long time, so you really get to explore, just like the nooks and crannies, man, in a way that I feel like these stories never really get to, which is part of the beauty of comic books. The beginning of the story is pretty heavy and pretty fucking dark. Not fun at all. Yeah, a lot of this stuff. A lot of people being murdered, a lot of people in tears and crying and being like, I'll never recover, I'll never be the same. And I feel like that vibe switches as the story goes on. There's like a lot more like fun to be had with the magic and stuff like that, while still being true to the characters that exist in this first part of the story that definitely has a different tone. And Joe Hill is fucking cooking in this book, dude. Cooking. This to me felt like a very literary book. And I mean in the way that, like, this feels like a cousin to a novel, right? This doesn't feel like the regular comic book to me, although it is utilizing all the things that make comic books so great. And Gabriel Rodriguez is such a fantastic, like, comics artist, you know. I still think that this book feels, I don't know, maybe it's the way it's written, especially in the beginning. This is a pretty text-heavy comic, and usually I fucking hate that, bro. I hate text-heavy comic books, and in this one, I couldn't get enough of it. He's just so talented with his, like, prose work, even though it's not like prose. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a very literary comic book. He is excellent with dialogue. The characters are excellent, and honestly, the artwork really brings it home, where it's just so consistent. He does do this thing where he definitely is like reusing drawings in different panels and stuff, but I think it worked. Like here is a great example. But the pacing of it all is so like intentional and like exact, like surgical pacing throughout this book. And you know, it goes on for like a ton of issues. This book is enormous, right? So we get a lot of different like fun kind of gimmicks and ideas as we go along in terms of like the storytelling. There's one that's like definitely a reference to like done in like a Calvin and Hobbes style that somehow like it makes it work and exists in this world because they're fucking geniuses. It's really a wonderful thing. Now the horror elements in here, like things are pretty horrific. Like when people die, it's not like fun, which sounds really silly to say, but in so many comic books, more specifically like action books, people dying is like I don't know, it's like a way to decorate your book, is like how interestingly you could kill people in a book, right? Especially if they're like nameless goons or whatever. But in this one, every time something happens, it is like horrific, right? The weight of it is really carried through, which I always appreciate in all stories, no matter the genre, no matter, you know, the setting or whatever. This one definitely leans into like, I don't know how to say it, like monstrous things but the real horror that comes from this book is they introduce an antagonist, and the antagonist is way ahead of the main characters, like 9-10 steps ahead. So every victory that the characters in the story feel like they make, the antagonist, we know how far behind they are and how like how much they're getting fucked with at every single turn. And that's really where that, like, your heart sinking feeling comes in, you know? And you're like, holy shit, dude, these poor fucking guys, man. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. And it just carries on that way. It's really an interesting way to, like, produce those feelings, I think. Because obviously bad things happen. There's a lot of, like, abusive stuff that happens in here. People get killed in like pretty gnarly ways. But the part that sticks the most with me, maybe I should go and look at the page. I'm showing you guys maybe too far in here, but we'll keep going. But it's not like the things that scare me about horror, the things that keep me away, is once we're getting into like demons and ghosts and people's heads twisting around and doing all, you know, this like excessive shit. This never gets like excessive. Everything feels like it has a place. Everything feels like it reasonably could happen within the scope of the story. We're not just like escalating things to make them as nasty as possible. Even though the things are nasty, the goal isn't just that. It's not a nasty off. You know what I mean? That's not it. And really, there's just such beautiful execution of it all. That's really what it is. I think that this book is like the most well executed book I maybe have ever like read in my life. I feel like it like hits its ceiling pretty early and then stays there. You know what I mean? There's not like a better version of this story out there, which is a wonderful thing. I was really impressed with this book. I read this pretty much all through November, so this one won't be on my November reading log, which should be out here fairly soon. But like reading this, I think that this book is best read when you do it like one chunk at a time, almost like each issue at a time, and you like kind of sit and let it reflect, because the story is so intentionally told that like there's so much to reflect on. There's so much to think about in between each part. But then also if you binge it and you went all the way through, the quality I think still stands out. It's just such a well told story. So for me, I think Lock and Key through reading it has become one of my like top comics ever for me personally. But I think it's hard for me to like say that out loud because I read this so recently. But just the emotions it made me feel, the attachments to the characters, how much you care about the situation, how much you care about the people, even like people who seem to just be passing through. You know, they have so much space in all of these pages to like really expand, and all of these characters have so much more to give. You know, like as you learn more about them, you're like, oh, these guys actually are getting better. You know, in time as I learn more about them every single time. It really is remarkable. It is some of my favorite, like, magic. It is some of my favorite, like, they give us the origin story of, like, what's happening, of, like, why this is happening like this. And I think that's really interesting. My one gripe with this book would probably be the ending, which is tough. Like, I actually don't know how you end a book like this. And I don't think the ending was, like, bad as much as it felt underwhelming. Like, this book moves so well, like it's paced so well, like I cannot stress that enough. It is maybe the most well-paced book that I've ever read, that once everything kind of comes like together and it's like, oh shit, it's gonna like end here, like what possibly could keep up with like this build-up that's been happening over like literally 1,000 pages, you know? So to me it was mildly underwhelming. However, I don't think I just don't know what else it could have done. You know, I feel like I'm being unrealistic if I'm like picking it apart for that. It also has some of the great what would you call it? Like cliffhangers at the end of each individual like issue in this book. Every one of them ends with the full page spread, and there are multiple times where I'm just gasping by myself reading the book. I was like, I can't believe what was just revealed through that. And to tell a like 10 out of 10 story and then have a cliffhanger at the end that like enhances the story you just read and like adds meaning to the issues and like parts of the story even before that is such a tall task that I think that very few comics accomplish. And like none accomplish this consistently. So for me, this has to be a banger masterpiece. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Lock and Key, and maybe you were like me and you heard about it and you're like, I mean, I don't know, people tell me about it a lot, but fucking whatever. Don't be that guy. You gotta read this book. This shit is a masterpiece. It is, I think, one of the great comic books ever made, and I don't think that's hyperbole. If you have any banger masterpieces that you feel like I should be reading, if you can leave that in the comments below, it'd be much appreciated. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much for listening to me ramble about the things I love. And I will see you all in the next one. Yo, before you go, I wanted to show you the comics that I make. This is The Gifts of the Zadik. It follows our main character, Ram, who has just been crowned the Zadik, also known as the Chosen One, in his small village, and given unreal powers. But as soon as he gets these powers, he is disillusioned by the role that his people wish him to play, and so he wants to go out and find how to become a hero out in the world. It'll sweeten the pot. He also finds that there's another Chosen One out there, somewhere in the world, that maybe can give him answers and help him find his true purpose. If you are interested in buying this book, you can get them at lior.com. It's a great way to support me, the artist, and the guy who runs this channel. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all later.